shit. Here we go again. You know I'm excited for this one. Ah, shit. Yo! All right, let's do this shit, huh? Welcome back to the Den of Nerds. I am Josh, and we have a fantastic show for you today. There's not a lot of news, which is strange. I feel like we've been bombarded with news over the past couple of weeks, but it is a slow news day. And so I thought, what better day? What better time to do something I've been thinking about doing for a long time, to put all of my big brain ideas about how this is all going into one concise episode of this, the Den of Nerds Daily Show, over here on the live streaming channel, and obviously this goes out on the podcast feeds as well. What am I talking about? I'm talking about how I feel, and it's not just me, a lot of analysts, a lot of people out there feel as though comic book movies and the comic book movie genre, and you can expand that to television or whatever, that it's on the way out, it's on the decline, and popular things come and go, things ebb and flow. But it really does feel like comic book movies, particularly Marvel, is on the decline. And a lot of people believe that video games is the next big thing. Video games, and you can already sort of see Hollywood leaning into that. We're going to discuss it all. Video games are the next big thing. Now, I know I have Warhammer on the thumbnail, and I'm going to talk about Warhammer. Don't worry. But the real point here, and the thing that I really want to hone in on, is why specifically video games and kind of like Warhammer 2, because a lot of the same attributes that could be applied to video games can be applied to Warhammer, the tabletop game, and also the video games for Warhammer. But the main idea here is that there's a reason I think these things will be the next thing. Right now, things are changing. I mean, that's obvious, right? Everybody should know that things are changing. The movie industry is changing. The whole world is changing. Ever since 2020, so many things have changed. And I think lockdowns really accelerated change that was already occurring. And in some ways, it was so drastic and there was so much change that I don't know how many people are actually fully aware of what that looks like. And when it comes to Hollywood specifically, it really does seem like they're struggling with how to deal with this. So today, man, I'm going to go through some really interesting points about the Marvel fandom, about how fandom and entertainment is changing now, and why I strongly feel that video games and Warhammer are well positioned to be the next thing. There's actually reasons here. I think some of the insights here are going to surprise you. I think some of the things I bring up will get you to think about this. And I'm looking forward to getting into this, but I'm also really looking forward to having a conversation about it, getting into the Q&A later in today's show and seeing what kind of questions, thoughts, concerns, or even disagreements you might have with my takes and how I see this. So it's going to be an interesting show. You know what I mean? If there was even a small bit of news, I probably would have went with that. But it's literally so barren out there with nerdy news that I thought this would be the perfect day to make this kind of an episode. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. Now, as far as show notes go, we are still going to watch Daredevil Born Again tonight. The 8th episode of the show drops tonight. We're doing a watch party. I'll be live at 8:30 on this channel tonight. We'll do our watch party of Daredevil. As I said yesterday, I do expect it to be much better than basically all of the show that we've seen. And these are the last 2 episodes that Benson and Aaron Moorhead actually did. They directed these last 2, so these are the actual good ones. We all know what happened. It sucks. I don't want to linger on it, but we will do a watch party tonight. We'll do a watch party next week for the finale. And I still love Marvel. I still love Daredevil, so I'm still going to have a good time. And so we will be doing that. And then tomorrow evening at 7:30, we will be doing another Marvel Rivals stream. We'll be playing Marvel Rivals together. And I'm really excited for that. We had a blast last week. We're going to do it again tomorrow night at 7:30. Those are the things to look out for this week. Other than that, I have a big video dropping later today about Thunderbolts. And I'll be honest here, part of what inspired the stream we're about to have and the conversation we're about to have is Thunderbolts. Now, I actually wrote this video over the weekend. I recorded it over the weekend. It's been with my editor. He just got it back to me today. And so I actually recorded this video technically before ticket sales happened for Thunderbolts. They opened them up yesterday morning. But I was so convinced that those ticket sales would be low that I went ahead and made the video anyway. And the video is essentially why Marvel's best movie in years is still going to bomb. Okay? Now that is going to be, you should watch that video. It is going to make you feel things and explain some really interesting things about Marvel, the fatigue, some of the problems, and the big test for the Marvel brand and where everything goes from there. Okay, so that's all going to be compiled in that video. I might freshen it up a bit today. I might like record some extra parts if we ever get some official numbers out there. But it is starting to look like, from just a couple of accounts, you know, we don't have an official number here, but it is starting to look like Thunderbolts might underperform. And what I mean is, what if Thunderbolts makes even less money than Captain America Brave New World? Captain America Brave New World right now sitting around 400 milli. So Thunderbolts, what if Thunderbolts makes 300 million worldwide? Like, I'm starting, like, that's not a far off fiction. That's not some thing impossible. That's actually completely possible. And that would be embarrassing. It would be shocking. But here's the thing. That reality is what made me want to talk about what we're about to talk about. Okay? So that's kind of, I just want to kind of let that be known too. So you can check out the Thunderbolts video later, and maybe you can have a little bit of a better understanding as far as where my mindset is at and why I want to make this video, why I want to talk about this. So with that being said, I think I should probably just get into this and just kind of blurb. And then, as always, we will get into Q&A. And if any breaking news happens during the stream, we'll break that down as well. Okay? So, I want to start by acknowledging that this is already happening. Okay? Insofar as it is an attempt, and insofar as a lot of other pundits and, just people in the space that talk about movies and television in any kind of way, they're starting to acknowledge this. This is pretty plain to see. So if you look at some of the very successful projects of the last couple of years, right? You know, Fallout, great example. The Last of Us is a great example. The Super Mario Brothers movie is a great example of that. It's already happening. And what's weird about it is it's not as though Hollywood didn't try this before, okay? Hollywood has tried all sorts of video game adaptations in the past. Does anybody remember the Assassin's Creed movie with Michael Fassbender? It is horrible. Does anybody remember the Prince of Persia movie with Jake Gyllenhaal? I mean, guys, we can go on and on and on. It is not as though Hollywood didn't see numbers. You know, a lot of people in Hollywood, you could criticize them for, like, their brains. And, even if you're being a little rude and harsh, you're probably not that far off. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of, it's not a shining city on the hill of, like, philosophical thought or, really, these aren't real leaders anymore, I think. But they at least still recognize numbers. So it's not as though Hollywood or Hollywood executives were blind to the reality that the video game industry was way bigger than their industry for, again, about 20 years. So whether it was Halo and Microsoft getting together around Halo 3, which it's so interesting because the next point I'm going to make is that even the studios have had to adjust the way that they do these things, which is good. But I remember being really excited about the possibility of Halo being live action, being a movie. What happened was Microsoft went to Hollywood, and Hollywood basically, as they often do, said, we'll take it from here. And Microsoft, probably pretty intelligently at the time, said no. And it all fell apart because Hollywood was like, you guys don't know shit. We'll take your funny little video game and make it into a movie, okay? The point I'm trying to make is Hollywood has been aware of this. They just have tried and it's failed, okay? Marvel and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's wild because what part of the tragedy here is in order to acknowledge the downfall and in order to acknowledge where we're going, we have to acknowledge how big of a deal the MCU was. The MCU is one of the most significant things to ever happen to pop culture, to ever happen to movies. It just is that significant. I know a lot of you here already know that. That's why you're here. In some way, shape, or form, that's probably connected to how you viewed a piece of my content or how you showed up at a stream. So you probably know that, right? But like, it's also important to remember that before the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they were also trying with comic books. I mean, comic book movies go way back, man. There's so many old comic book movies. And they've tried it in different ways and in different forms. And even right before the MCU, Nolan had essentially started a new version of that with The Dark Knight, or Batman Begins at the time, but like the whole trilogy, right? So even before the MCU, Hollywood was aware that comic books had this, built-in IP recognition, these built-in fan bases. And so just like with video games, they had tried and failed, and that's a big part of why you never saw it truly take form in the way that it should have. Now, enter Marvel Studios. And Marvel Studios does just things that other studios had never really conceived. And a lot of credit is obviously due to Feige and the lieutenants, Parliament, all the people at Marvel Studios that really carried through those first three phases. And it became the phenomenon that it was. As soon as it became successful, all of Hollywood started to replicate it. Now everybody wants an MCU. Even to this day, people want an MCU. Like what Nintendo's about to do potentially is an MCU. Godzilla, Kong, that's probably an MCU. Every single IP franchise, they all want to become an MCU. That's what it is. So, you sort of that's sort of the foundation for the story that we're about to tell. And I just want to acknowledge that. And then if you think about where we're currently at right now, so we have the Zelda movie on the horizon, right? Sony's making a Helldivers movie. I don't know how many of you know that, but that's a real thing. There's, of course, the Warhammer stuff, which we will come back to. League of Legends is building an MCU. So they're doing it differently. It's animated, and they have the show Arcane. They're going to build a different show, and I believe the plan is to set up multiple shows that all kind of lead into one big crossover event. Again, an MCU. We just got announced, I believe yesterday, that Death Stranding, the big IP that Hideo Kojima made, that's going to get a movie adaptation, right? So within the next couple of years, we have Hollywood studios and people putting big money behind massive video game projects. Death Stranding, Zelda, Helldivers, Warhammer, Leagues of Legend. I mean, it's literally already happening right in front of our faces. So the question is why? Why is this stuff so well positioned to take over where, frankly, Marvel left off? And why can't Marvel just continue its dominance? What happened? Right? So here is where we have to start to ask ourselves some really interesting questions. And I'm going to need some participation from the chat. I'd love to know what you think about this. Let me start by asking you a couple basic questions. How do Marvel Cinematic Universe fans engage with the brand? How do the fans of the MCU actually engage with the MCU? How does that happen, guys? And let me get a couple answers out of the way, okay? Obviously, going to the movies, watching the movies, watching the shows. You could even say getting the merchandise, buying a figure, buying a shirt. Somebody says chairs, but that's actually, it's ironic that you say that, and I am going somewhere with this. How do Marvel Cinematic Universe fans have fun in that community? Well, when you start to really think about it, right? Like you think, okay, so they go to the movies. Sure, going to the movies. What is that? 2-3 hours? Okay. Watch the shows? Sure. Longer, maybe 3 to 4 times longer over the course of a month or two? Sure. But the reality is, and this is where you really need to think about what's happening with the consumer behavior, okay? The truth is, the real way that Marvel Cinematic Universe fans engage with the brand is what you guys are doing right now. What we're going to do tonight. What we're going to do tomorrow morning. What Screen Crush, New Rockstars, Heavy Spoilers, what they do. Okay? Now, I've made this point before, but you really should, and especially if you're a Hollywood person, you should really think about this. It's possibly an uncomfortable truth, but I've said it before and I'm going to say it again because I think it's true. The reality of the hype overload and the actual fan engagement that made Marvel into the behemoth that it is did not happen in the movie theaters. It did not happen on Disney Plus. It happened in these fucking walls. It happened via content. I promise you that that's the reality. Now, I've said this before. I remember I told Paul from Heavy Spoilers one time when we were on a live stream together. I said, Paul, do you realize that WandaVision is basically a mid-ass show and that you, Paul, and me, Paul, and Eric from New Rockstars, Paul, we were the ones that actually created all of the speculation and fun, all of the videos that crafted theories, all the Mephisto stuff, all of that. I would say 80% of the engagement and the fun that was had by Marvel fans was not created by Marvel. Now, there's, you know, maybe if you're listening to this, right, and you might be like, oh, the ego on this fucking guy, or like maybe that feels absurd. No, that's just the reality of it. And by the way, it's not even to say that these content creators are like the best or they're the smartest or like they figured it out. I think it kind of organically happened. But the reality is, if you really look at the behavior of the actual consumers and how they actually engage in the brand, how are they actually engaging with the brand? It's through content. Because you will spend much more of your hours, much more of your actual time hanging out with other Marvel fans or watching other Marvel fans. I think an aspect of this too is control. Let's talk about control. So if you go watch Marvel, okay? So let's say you're, and I'm just going to tell you, like, look, some of this stuff's going to make you feel uncomfortable, but there's a point to it. So let's say you watch Marvel and you're super anti-woke, okay? By the way, that's a thing. I don't know if you realize that, but there are people out there that get really bothered and triggered by things that they perceive to be woke. So let's say you're an anti-woke person. You can't stand up in the middle of the theater and say, I don't like this. This is woke. But you know what you can do? You can go find a community of people that feel the same way. You can go find a content creator that feels the same way, and you can become a part of it. And you have thereby, like, take the woke and the political charge out of that statement and realize the consumer behavior is as simple as this. They want more control over the experiences that they are having as they engage with the brand that they love. It is the same thing with toxic positive people. So, you know, maybe you love this certain aspect. You love that the Marvels did this, that, second, and the third. Blah, blah, fucking blah. Totally, you're right. Totally valid way to enjoy things. You don't find community in the movie theater. You don't find community sitting on your couch watching a Disney Plus show. You find community on the internet. You find community via content creators, YouTubers, streamers. And Hollywood is like so reluctant to accept this and realize that that is what's happening. That's what's happening. But that is what's happening. Okay? So because of community, the ability to actually engage and the ability to control your experience as you engage with these brands, I believe these are all aspects that make the experience of engaging with these brands via content creators so much more enjoyable than just watching this stuff. Okay. So, with that being said, I want to now talk about video games. Now, there's a really interesting, like right in our fucking faces example that I can't believe Marvel isn't paying more attention to. Okay? And that would be Marvel Rivals. I mean, let's just think about this, okay? Marvel Rivals. It is arguably bigger than the MCU right now. It outtrends the MCU. It has more active players or engagement. Look at the numbers for the top Marvel Rivals. Like if you were to search Marvel Rivals and look at like content creation, engagement, impressions overall, and then Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's at least even and probably higher with Rivals, depending on the news, right? It's a fluid, dynamic situation, but the point still stands. Why is that? Why is this happening? Right? Well, I think it actually has to do with a lot of the stuff I just mentioned. Let me ask you this. How do Marvel Rivals fans engage with Marvel Rivals? Right? I just asked you, how do MCU fans engage with that brand? How do Marvel Rivals fans engage with Marvel Rivals? I mean, it's so obvious what's happening, right? If you just take a step back and think in terms of consumer behavior. Well, let me just tell you this. The playing Marvel Rivals, and you can play on your own, but even when you do, it's a team game. So there's automatically a more social aspect to it. It's a game. So you have endless dynamic and user curated experiences over and over and over again. So this is solving so many of the pain points that consumers have with mass media these days. And I can't believe nobody else is figuring this out. But when you have a video game, like one of the reasons the video game experience is preferable to the movie theater experience has to do with convenience and control, curation. So if I go to a movie, I have to go to a specific place to see it. I have to, it's probably not right next to me, so it's like travel, expenses, time. I then watch the movie. I have no idea if I'm really going to enjoy the movie. I mean, we can sort of understand, via trailers, previews, Rotten Tomatoes scores, other reviewers that you usually align with, but you literally don't know. They're telling you, pay the money, sit in the dark with the strangers. You don't know if the movie's going to be good. You don't know if the movie's going to piss you off. You don't know if the crowd is going to create a good experience around you. It's so unpredictable and you can't control it. So it's inconvenient and it's not curated to the person. It's 2025, dude. Why are we even watching shit on Reels? Why is there an entire fucking industry of people taking physical big-ass Reels and shipping them around? We have fucking 4K OLED televisions. Like, the industry is so... It is not stuck in the 90s, the 80s, the 70s. It's stuck in the 1930s. This is insane. So there's super... Like, why are movies falling apart? Why don't people... Brother, look at the data. Look at the data, man. Okay? So, video games have actually solved a lot of the problems that Hollywood has right now with its own fan base and potential fan base. And I think As opposed to before, like, let's say the last 5 years when Hollywood would say, we've got it from here. I think Hollywood is at least recognizing that the spirit of the thing has to be true. If you bring in the actual creators, it makes more money. They won't tell you it's because it has more of the purity, the artistic vision, the sort of resonance of the thing comes across. They just know it as simple as, if we hire the people that made the game, it makes more money. They don't think, but they've at least recognized the numbers. So we're entering this era of what's the Last of Us guy's name? Druckmann. He's involved in that show. You have Todd from Fallout and Bethesda involved in the Fallout show. You've got, obviously, Kojima's going to be involved in Death Stranding. The Leagues of Legend team is heavily involved. Miyamoto was involved in Mario. Miyamoto's heavily involved in Zelda, right? So what I'm taking, what we've just done is kind of go on a journey. Now, let me kind of take these two things and smash them together, because this is where the rubber meets the road. And this is why I think video games are really, really going to take over. And also, this can be attributed to Warhammer too. So let's say, hypothetically, Zelda pops off. Let's say the Zelda movie makes 1.5 billion. Let me ask you something. How will the fans of that movie engage with the brand? This is where it all comes together. Do you see what's happening? How will the fans that go to see the Zelda movie, how are they then? Exactly, they're going to play the fucking games. They're going to play the games. And they're going to engage with content creators. Okay? So, unlike with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where you'll engage with it, it's really cool, but then all of your actual day-to-day engagement with that brand, or I'd say like 90% of it, it has to come through ancillary material that is hanging out with streamers, hanging out on Reddit, you know, being in certain Twitter circles or whatever. Whereas with a video game movie, if you go watch it and you like it, you go play the game. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, does any of this make sense? So what am I really talking about? From the consumer behavior perspective, what are we talking about here? We're talking about how people fill their time. We're talking about hobbies. We're talking about fandom. Okay? So, for instance, a bunch of people start to really get into the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, right? Well, they'll play the games. They'll watch the content where the content creators talk about the games, but also speculate about what could be coming to the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, because, of course, Smash Bros. And the whole bring it all. It's like their Avengers Endgame. They have it already in Smash Bros. It's already canon to Nintendo lore. All the characters together fighting against some giant evil, right? So you could definitely be excited about that. But the difference is, if that was Marvel, how would you, as a fan, have fun on the day-to-day with that? Well, we're doing it right now. It's all about speculation, rumors, breaking this down. Well, I'm just telling you that the desire, here's the, let me try to put a fucking pin in this. Let me just really try to tell you what I'm saying. The consumer wants to have more positive experiences with the brand. If they become a fan, they want to be able to engage continuously in a positive manner with that IP or franchise. Okay? And Marvel, due to a confluence of reasons, that's not happening in the Marvel fandom. The product itself isn't even satisfying. So therefore, the speculation gets hurt. So therefore, the entire thing goes off the rails. Right? It's not working because there's no way to engage in that brand or that franchise and that IP that is removed from the overall success of the thing. Whereas with a video game or with Warhammer, the individual curates and creates how to engage with the thing from there. So you go see the Zelda movie, you loved it. What are you going to do? You're going to look up all the best Zelda games. You're going to figure out how to play them, which one you should play first. You'll probably start playing through the games as you get ready for the next movie or the next whatever. And I promise you that'll be a better experience. That's going to be a better experience because it's user curated and because it's communal. You'll be able to talk to other people that have played the game. You'll be able to engage in content surrounding the game. So these are, I think, big deals to people. I think this is a part of the reason why the video games are well positioned to really, really take over, right? Because the people will be able to curate, create their own experience. They'll be able to have a communal experience that's not exactly tied to the quality and the success of the movies and the shows. It's almost like the movies and the shows become a little bonus thing, you know? And it just kind of is a signal booster to something that's already way bigger than the movie industry anyways. And I think that what the people want to be able to do, like, this is why I love Warhammer, right? Because there's not even a Warhammer show right now. There's not a Warhammer movie. There's Warhammer animations, and I like the Warhammer stuff. I do. But I mostly get to engage with Warhammer on my own terms, and it's completely curated to what I want to do. So I'll paint these little army men. And I know it's so crazy. It feels so silly. But just think about it in terms of how to engage as an MCU fan versus how would you engage with it as a Warhammer fan. Warhammer has, I don't know, damn near limitless novels from all sorts of different kinds of characters, different kinds of setting. You can figure out which slice of the Warhammer novel lore you'd be into, and you can engage with it on your own terms. You can decide your own army. You can build your own army. It can be canon. It can be non-canon. The lore of Warhammer was always meant to support the actual game itself. So that just creates options and the ability to continually engage with it. That's why I love it. It's like I can think about building my army, or I can actually build and paint my army, or I can study the game competitively, or I can read the novel, or I can watch YouTube videos to expand my knowledge of the lore. There's no shortage of ways that I can engage with Warhammer, and it all feels good. A lot of consumer behavior comes down to, does this feel good or does this feel bad? You know, this is one of the things we were talking about when we did Nerd Theory in Chicago. During that panel, we were asked about product, and we were asked about how, just like with, you know, Star Wars movies and shows and that content, it's feeling like super corporatized. It feels like a little soulless. And the whole idea, the whole question was like, how do we change that? Or like, what does that look like if it's better? And I think when it comes to product, right, you want to have the consumer have positive experiences at every step of the way with this thing. Meaning they got to feel good when they think about getting it. They got to feel good when they commit to getting it. They got to feel good when they go home with it. And they got to feel good a year later when the thing's on the shelf and they walk past it. You want to have nothing but positive fan experiences through all the different ways that the consumer could have those experiences. And Marvel is not doing that. I'm really talking about the MCU. The MCU specifically is really not doing that. And I think part of the reason why is because it's so constrained by its own canons. It's constrained by the considerations and the limitations of the people that create it, monetary, censorship, whatever you want to call it. There's so many different factors that have created the lack of Marvel resonating with people. And the problem is, I think ultimately, I don't know how you engage in the MCU outside of the MCU content other than through content creation. And because the content creators are also fans and they're also kind of down on the whole thing, that experience has just gotten worse, you know? So I truly, truly believe that Marvel will never admit that content creators were a huge part of what made them so successful and what really pushed them over in the zeitgeist. But I continue to believe that that is not only true, but it is also how they lost the fandom. And if there were ways to engage with the Marvel, if there were ways to engage in the MCU fandom outside of the strict shown material, I think fans would be doing that more, and I think they would be having a better time. Right? So this is part of the reason. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons. Like, you could think about this from like the lore perspective. You could think like, well, Halo's got all this incredible lore. You know, Mass Effect has all this incredible lore. Elden Ring has all this incredible lore. And by the way, I want to talk about those three projects specifically because I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful that those are like my top three hopes, because here's the thing. Like, dude, I love video games. Okay? Like, I fucking love video games. So you could make the argument that it's the lore or whatever, but it's really not. Like, that's just not true. Marvel has a ton of incredible lore as well. I really think it comes down to consumer behavior, the limitations of that medium, and yeah, it's all just kind of jumbled up, and it become what it is, and you're gonna see it. Everything's gonna get shifted, and I think it's really over for comic book genre stuff unless they drastically change. And pretty quickly, too. I mean, even look at Superman, guys. Like, look at Superman. And I have kind of flipped on Superman to where I'm actually really positive on it, and I'm really looking forward to it. But it is a movie that is dividing fans. You have a shit ton of people that are saying, I don't think Superman should be like that. That's not Superman to me. And yet, by its nature, what the movie and the DCU, what it means is you don't get a say in this. That is ultimately what it kind of turns into. And again, I'm kind of all in on Superman right now, dude. I ordered a bunch of shirts. I'm all in, man. I'm a James Gunn fan. But the very nature of this Hollywood created content is that you don't get a say. You just got to sit and watch. And if it was Warhammer, one of you guys could make your Superman like that. And then I could have Superman ripping somebody apart and being like, oh, dude, I'm doing the Injustice Superman. This is my Superman. He likes to rip people apart. He's violent as hell. Don't you see? I get to decide my Superman. If I was playing a video game, if it was an RPG, let's say you did a BioWare version of Superman. And you could be good, you could be bad. The Paragon system, right? Brother, that's what I'm talking about. That's where the juice lies. And I think that's a big part of what fans want, to be able to curate that experience. And you simply can't do that when they control the entire narrative. So I really think shit's about to change. And I think this is part of why because, like, you know, you consider the video game thing, right? When they present Zelda, that is Zelda. But it's not the Zelda. You've had 17 million different versions of Zelda. You've had incredible versions of Zelda. You've got your favorite version of Zelda. And that favorite version of Zelda is still valid. You will still be able to go experience it. Like, it doesn't feel the same. And I think that's a part of why consumers are starting to go in that general direction. Now, let's switch it up here. I got a couple other points, and then we'll get into Q&A. We know there's a lot of video game stuff on the way, right? You got your Death Stranding, Zelda, Helldivers, which is fascinating to me, but it makes sense. Sony's making a Helldivers thing, the League of Legends stuff, the Warhammer stuff, it's all coming. Well, I want to talk about my 3 most anticipated projects that I would love to see adapted, and frankly, get entire franchises built around them, okay? First one, Elden Ring. Elden Ring is probably the best video game ever created. It's one of the most popular video games ever created. It's a fucking masterpiece. And again, it has all those attributes we just talked about. Infinite curation. You get to play it your way. You get to build the character your way. You get to play the game however you want. So it has all those attributes. But it's got a high fantasy aesthetic. George R.R. Martin helped to develop the lore for the universe, which of course Hollywood, if I were Hollywood, I'd be like, dude, put that shit on a poster. You know what I mean? Like, that's obviously buzzworthy and would create some hype. Elden Ring is poised to get this sort of MCU treatment, and I think it would do really well. I do. I love the lore. I think it's really cool, really trippy, has a cool aesthetic. So I think that's a big one for me. Mass Effect. Mass Effect has to be one of these franchises. It's very popular. These games were incredibly popular. They fell off a bit too. The Mass Effect 5 Andromeda thing was a complete fucking disaster. But the first 3 games, and really for me, it's like that first game, monumental, dude. Epics. And frankly, just incredible story. It has one of the best science fiction stories and one of the craziest twists I've ever experienced in a science fiction story. I'm talking about with like the Reapers, when you find out what's going on with that one homie's ship in the first game. Complete game changer, total shock. And the thing about both, well, mostly with Mass Effect, it's had ancillary material created already, books, comics, etc. I think Mass Effect is well positioned to be one of these big franchises. It should get the MCU treatment, and I think it would be so cool, dude. I mean, dude, they're not psychers or Jedi, I forget what they're called in the Mass Effect world, but there's literally like mental magic and shit. Really cool aliens. It's sexy, it's fun. Mass Effect, I think, would be huge. So I'm definitely looking forward to some Mass Effect stuff. And then the last one for me is Halo. Now, Halo is such an interesting one because it really did, I mean, it's sort of past its peak of popularity, but it's one of those video game IPs that has been so popular for so long that Hollywood like finally decided to adapt it. And I never watched the show on Starz. I've seen enough clips and I've watched enough Angry Joe videos when Paramount wasn't blocking them to know that that show's bullshit and it's not really Halo, okay? But even that show probably did fairly decent numbers for that network. And I would imagine, like, if I were Microsoft, right, I'm just looking around at some of these other things that have happened, The Last of Us, Fallout, etc. Halo, there's no reason that Halo cannot be a part of that conversation. Halo is incredible, super mass appeal, has a whole bunch of ancillary media, like way more than most video game franchises. Novels, comics, graphic novels, all kinds of video games outside of the main series, and an actual TV show, right? So those are 3 picks for me. There's so many other ones, and I'm sure, like, go ahead and throw your favorite ones into the chat. I know I see a lot of people saying like Metal Gear. Hell yeah, that would be great. Gears of War, I agree. And I think Gears was being looked at too. But like, dude, I'm just telling you, like, and maybe I didn't articulate all of the points that I have perfectly today. It's very just off the cuff and free form here. I've got a couple notes, but these are just thoughts that I've been thinking for months. And part of what really brought this into focus was Marvel Rivals. I mean, guys, our Marvel Rivals community streams have been some of the most fun we've had as a community in years. And that's, I mean, it is built to be done together. It is like everything I said. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I thought about why that was happening. I was like, why is this happening? Why are we having so much more fun here? Why does it seem like the Marvel Rivals community is thriving while the MCU community is in shambles? Like, what happened? You know? And so the more I thought about it, the more I came to some conclusions that it's just simply the case that video games are inherently built to better withstand the changing consumer behavior that's happened over the past couple of years. And I think the lockdown did terrible things to the MCU. I think think about it like this. The lockdown, guys, gave us a whole year without Marvel content. Do you know that? We had no content in 2020. Nothing. Not only that, it fucked up their whole production schedule. It forced things to be really weird. It forced us to watch all of the Disney Plus shows because we're all in lockdown. And then we got fatigued on that. Like, lockdown was devastating to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Probably accelerated their decline by like 3-4x. But ironically, and let's take it back to Warhammer, Warhammer absolutely dominated during the pandemic, during lockdown. Warhammer, I mean, we had nothing but time, and Warhammer is the greatest time sink that there probably is. And just to show you, in the past 5 years, I think Games Workshop's stock price is up something like 12% a year, 5 years in a row. Like, look at the stock price for the company that makes Warhammer. Since the pandemic, they have been on fucking fire. They're one of the fastest growing, most profitable companies in the entire international marketplace. And they sell plastic toys and novels, basically. So while lockdown maybe accelerated the fatigue of Marvel, it actually allowed fans to get into Warhammer and to get into video games and get into other things. And I think it just changed the way we appreciate how we're spending our time to engage within these franchises that we love. And I think, we're literally talking about the next MCU movie after a massive bomb, after the Daredevil show can't even chart and performs worse than the Star Wars show that got canceled last year. And we're looking at the box office projections for the Thunderbolts, and it looks like it's going to come in lower than Captain America Brave New World. Like, guys, this is crazy. And you look at what's going on with literally Warhammer and literally Marvel Rivals. It's a fascinating time. You know, it's a fascinating time, and I think Marvel and their dominance is on the way out. We will see what happens. I mean, I think Thunderbolts looks really cool. I think Fantastic Four looks really cool, and I'm excited for the next two Avengers movies. But is Marvel going to fix these problems, or is Marvel going to keep doing what they're doing and try to sell us that everything is fine and fixed? Because that doesn't seem to be working really anymore. So I think Marvel's in a really rough spot, man. I think it might be over. I think that we will have big Marvel movies still, and I think the X-Men saga will be cool. I'm not going anywhere. I love Marvel, and I'll always make content around Marvel. But I mean, like, my free time is not really spent on Marvel these days. My free time is Warhammer. I love Warhammer. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to make more content about Warhammer. I'd like to go in the direction of doing what I've done here for the Marvel brand and the Marvel fans for Warhammer fans. You know, I want to be in that community. I want to be able to engage in the franchise and the brand I love in a more curated way, in a more individualized way, and in a more communal way. So that concludes about 50 minutes of yapping. I hope some of that made sense. I wonder if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, and concerns, let's get into the Q&A here, and let's dive in. I know this is potentially a sensitive topic, and so we'll get into it, and we'll see what everybody is thinking about this. Joshua, first thing to say, says Snorehammer with a bunch of Z's, says just kidding, just kidding. Banham. Javier says all the side characters in Born Again suck. Yeah, they truly do. They truly do. Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything else to say. They're terrible. Kendall says with a 5 spot, hold up, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished? When I brought that Aston Martin, y'all thought it was rented? Wait, what? Is that some Ricky Ross? Are you singing Drake? What is happening now? Lightning Slug, welcome back to the Nerd Vengers, baby. Appreciate you. OG White Rice says with a 5 spot, which Nintendo-related franchises will be the next live-action / feature-length film? Metroid, DK, Mega Man, or something else? Thanks, Josh. Nerd Vengers for life. I would bet on Metroid. I think Star Fox is a great pick. Mario's already building out a lot, and it had DK in it, and Diddy Kong and stuff too. Didn't it have like Grandpa Kong too? It's been a while since I've watched it, but I feel like maybe you'll get another Super Mario Brothers movie, and that'll expand out the Mario characters. I feel like you need Metroid, and so maybe Metroid, and I think Star Fox, dude. I think Star Fox would be absolutely incredible. So those are my picks, man. Ibze says Josh has flipped on Marvel. That son of a gun. Nerd Vengers, assemble. Ah! Let's open up his third eye and wash out a stinky butthole with the most powerful jet wash out there. I actually have not flipped on Marvel. Okay? I'm just trying to call it like I see it because a lot of other people have. And I'm also at a point where, like, look, man, this Daredevil show sucked ass. Like, I don't know what else to say. I'm so far past trying to, like, carry water for Kevin Feige. And I'm not going to pretend or even try to sugarcoat how stupid and fucked up some of this stuff is. Daredevil Born Again is arguably worse than Brave New World. And Brave New World is a movie so bad, I will never voluntarily watch that shit again. Okay? So, Daredevil Born Again is fucking terrible. And Marvel should be ashamed that they tried to convince us that it wasn't. It's that bad, in my opinion. So, we're going to watch the last 2 episodes, and I think they're actually going to be decent because they're the actual new version of the show. But I mean, how many times are they going to boy that cried wolf with us? How many times are we going to be told it's finally over, things are getting better, and then they're going to dump 9 projects? Do you guys remember when they made that trailer announcement with 9 projects? I was alone in going like this. I couldn't fucking believe that trailer. 9 projects in a row? What about 2 years of Bob Iger saying we're going to dial shit back? And then we're going to drop 9 projects in 2025. Like, nah, man. So I'm over it. Insofar as I'm not going to play nice anymore, and I'm not going to try to pretend that things aren't going crazy. I still want to try to enjoy what I can. And like I said, I'm going to enjoy these last 2 episodes of Daredevil. I'm going to enjoy Thunderbolts, even if it makes $2. I think it's probably going to be great. And I'll say it's great. I'm going to enjoy Fantastic Four. That shit looks awesome, dude. Get a little Doctor Doom in there. Hell yeah. Doctor Doom for Doomsday, I'm about it. That's going to be sick. Spider-Man 4, hell yeah. Secret Wars, let's go. X-Men, yes. Daredevil Born Again Season 2, the actual new stuff, yes. So there's still plenty of, like, reasons to be excited. But it's like, it's actually more than the quality that's hurting Marvel. It is consumer behavior that has changed, and Marvel hasn't adjusted to it. Like, that's a big thing. So, no, I haven't flipped on Marvel. I love Marvel. But, I mean, maybe you could say Josh is not as nice with his criticisms of Marvel as he used to be. And that, I would have to say, yeah, absolutely. Definitely not. Not anymore. Rossi, thank you for the $2 sticker. Catonic, welcome back to the Nerd Avengers, baby. Badunga Duncan says, got my roommate into the Netflix Dee show. Now Dee is his favorite hero. Got him so hyped for Born Again. Now I feel bad because it sucks. And I hyped him up. Yeah, I mean, look, some people might read that or some people might hear you say that and they'll be like, oh, dude, what a hater or like whatever. No, like I feel you, bro. Like I did that to like all of you. Like you guys are all the roommate in that story. I told you all that Marvel finally figured it out. Dude, I made some big videos. It's real. We're really back now. So I feel you on that. Badunga Duncan gifted a membership. Appreciate you, brother. Why So Serious 85 says, what if Doctor Strange told Tony one way because he knew he was Doctor Doom too? Perhaps he tried to take Doom and Thanos out after seeing the future. Yeah, I mean, that could be cool. That's kind of an interesting theory. And I wonder in how many of those 14,605,000 variations, in how many of those variations did we see RDJ revealed to actually be Doctor Doom? That's interesting. That could be really fascinating. Last, Eobard von Targaryen, what a name, says the MCU Phase 1 to Phase 3 was the Mark Miller run. Excitement and fun, and now all new, all different Marvel with bad characters and stories. Too many risks. I think you're onto something there. And these are all, because look, here's the thing. With Marvel, of course, there are many different things going wrong. There are multiple reasons why some of these movies are underperforming. There's all sorts of reasons why the studio can't really do what they were once doing at scale. Okay? But I'm sitting here trying to make the point that while all of that is true, it's actually not the core reason that they're falling apart and that video game stuff is on the rise. The core reason has to do with consumers wanting more control and curation and community. And they want to be able to engage with these things over and over again. I mean, that's what dude, right now you're watching me or listening to me on a phone or a computer, or maybe a smart TV connected to the internet or whatever, right? Maybe an Xbox or whatever. That is your choice. And if at any moment I said something you didn't like, or maybe just was boring, you could switch off of me and watch almost infinite other things. You have at the tip of your fingers unlimited content. Unlimited. So why are you here? Why are you watching this, right? Well, I would venture to say it's actually because of a lot of the stuff I was just explaining. We have community here. You don't just have to passively watch. You can also super chat. You can guide the conversation. You can actually curate your experience. It's convenient, it's curated, and it's communal. So that, like, maybe I'm not explaining it perfectly, right? But like, they have not figured out how to tap into that. And that's clearly something that consumers are choosing. And I would say that lockdown and COVID accelerated the change in taste. The consumer behavior was changed because of that. John Johnston says 50 months of nerd venging. Don't get on live streams much because of the work, but still catch the replays. Took a personal day. Much love to you all. Nerd Vengers for life. Hashtag link 2028. Well, it comes out in 2027, doesn't it? I think it comes out in 2027, brother. But hey, appreciate you. 50 months, man. That's a lot of months. That's a lot of months of support. Thank you. I appreciate it. The Exodus says, Destiny has a huge community, very rich lore, and is a gold mine just waiting for someone to make movies, Happy Meal toys, and collector cups out of it. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Destiny, from what I understand, and I played vanilla Destiny. You guys probably know the lore. I played vanilla Destiny, and it broke my heart, and I literally threw away my little wristband, and I never played it again. And even Destiny 2, I was like, nope, fuck that. Because Destiny 1 was sold as a whole new experience, a 10-year persistent experience, all this stuff. I could go into all those details. But having said that, yes, I know that Destiny did adjust and got a lot of its players back, and people really liked it. Destiny's huge. The player base is huge. Halo's just so much bigger, though. Like, it just is, you know? And Destiny has had a big, good run, but it doesn't have what Halo has had. It doesn't have all the comics, all the novels. It doesn't have the movies. Because there have been Halo movies, like really like shitty, almost like a Hallmark movie or something. Like I've watched a few of them. There's Halo movies already. There's Halo series already, little short film things. Halo had an actual TV show on Stars, which was terrible. So Halo is just so much bigger. I'm not saying you're wrong. And it's possible that some community, just like what you're talking about, will be tapped into and nail this. So I appreciate it, man. We'll see. I mean, it sounds like you're really rooting for Destiny. Nothing wrong with that, brother. You know, if you like it. I, by the way, am quite interested in Marathon. So how many of you guys know this, right? Because Bungie created Destiny. Bungie created Halo. Well, Bungie created a game. Well, a couple of games. Oh, man. There was a really cool Bungie game called Oni. How many of you played Oni? Had a femme fatale protagonist. You played as like this super sexy, military spy chick. Dude, Oni was fucking awesome. But even before that, they had a game series called Marathon. And, you know, some of the Forerunners and some of the stuff that's in Halo actually comes from the Forerunner games. Anyway, I just went down a whole deep rabbit hole. Point is, Marathon is being revitalized by Bungie. It is now going to be a looter shooter. It has incredible art style. If you've seen they just dropped a trailer for the gameplay reveal trailer. Just dropped a couple of days ago. The official gameplay is revealed on the 12th. I don't know if the game's going to be really good. We'll see. But there's like a lot of excitement and hype around it. So I'm, yeah, man, as a big Bungie person, dude, I'm very excited to check out Marathon. Let's see. Maybe should I pull it up? Should I pull it up? Here, I'll show you a little bit of this. I'm excited for this. I am guilty of jumping from like game to game often with my friend group or whatever. But this is the trailer for the gameplay reveal. Look at this art style, man. Hey, Rob, what's up, brother? Quality's not incredible because it's Twitter. April 12th, 10 a.m. So that'll be 1 p.m. Yeah, I'm excited. By the way, that little mechanical cat will probably be like a $20 microtransaction. But either way, I'm actually really excited for that, man. Bungie, I think they're cooking. And yeah, that's gonna be cool. All right, let's keep going through these here super chats here. TFB TJ says both Marvel and DC failed to create a sustainable community. Besides comics, film, and series, the consumers do not have the means to engage with the product. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I've been trying to say in so many words. And for a long time, we did that for them, frankly. Yeah. Fascinating. I mean, look, this is what I do, man. You know, like I'm in the media space, I'm in the content space. You know, I do a lot of like commentary, you know, giving my take. I'm pundit of sorts. I've seen this shit firsthand. I'm watching not only the consumers but the media. I'm watching it all change in real time. And it's just really fascinating. So Jay Robin says, yo, Josh, Nerd Vengeance for life. The last decade, I've been deeply confused why Marvel/Star Wars haven't made stronger competition in the video game space. Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not really sure. I mean, we could speculate about why, but one of the things, so when Disney signed that big deal with Epic Games, they did, I think they did like $250,000 or $500,000 investment into Epic. They took some level of equity in Epic, I believe. And so there's this big Epic Disney collaboration, which of course they have a lot of collaboration in Fortnite, but this is supposed to be something different. And I remember when that first announced, I said, guys, this is the future of Disney's IP because it solves a lot of their problems. If you create a metaverse with Star Wars shit, you don't have to have people being like, Kathleen Kennedy did this, did that. You know what I mean? Those cringe people. You guys know those? Everybody that complains about Kathleen Kennedy all the time, they suck. Couldn't be me. Point is, you won't have that shit because the user creates the experience. The user likes the IP. They get into the metaverse. They create their own experience. Right? That's brilliant. That actually removes the barrier to entry. It removes like a whole bunch of problems that people have, or perceived problems, which in consumer behavior, perceived problems are real problem. You know what I mean? But the point is, like, I think even Disney is going to go in this direction where I think the Disney or Marvel IP used in consumer generated, whether it's through AI or video games or a combination, I think that content will surpass produced movies and shows within the next 5 years. And that's a bold prediction, but yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. Like, it's that drastic. I think that drastic of a change is coming, but we'll see. I could be wrong. Chris says, so basically what you're saying is we should all be painting dolls. Well, you might not like painting, okay? And there are people that enjoy Warhammer that don't paint. But the point I was trying to make is you can decide how to engage with Warhammer, and you have all sorts of ways to do that, which usually lead you to community experiences. It is kind of inherently more communal than going to the movies because it's a game, and if you're at the higher level, you're going to be playing tournaments with like a whole bunch of players or whatever. But the point I was making was, in the day-to-day, how do MCU fans engage with the brand? How? Well, it's through streams and content and potentially watch the movies. You know, I'm not saying that that's not still a part of it, but with Warhammer and with video games, how you engage in the brand is not only caked in a more inherent way, but it's more curated, customizable, and communal. If that means I painted my dolls. And by the way, why do you paint your dolls at home? So that you can show them on the tabletop with other people. Communal. It's community. Right? But yeah, you should all be playing Warhammer. I've said that many a time. Brutal the Bear says, Broke Venger since the Nerdy News Rundown. Full Nerd Venger for a year now. Best community. Love you all. I like my Star Wars flavor vanilla, not grape. I hear you there, brother. Trust me, I hear you there. And I appreciate it, Brutal the Bear. Dude, it is the most flattering thing when I hear from people kind of like what you just said, where they're like, hey, Josh, I watched you for a long time. I started paying you per month, and I love it. Not because of me and me getting the money, but because of the community, because of supporting something that you believe in. Like that, there is nothing more pleasant to hear than in a world where consumers have almost infinite options for their time and their money, that you have found value. It's like what did I say earlier in the stream? It's got to feel good the whole way. It's got to feel good when you see it on the shelf. That's me talking about the Nerdvenger stream. It's got to feel good when you make the purchase. That's when you become a Nerdvenger and I knight you. It's got to feel good as you experience the thing, when you come through the Nerdvenger streams. It's got to feel good 50 months from the time you sign up, when you say, been 50 months, Josh, and I've been having a ball. It has to feel good throughout the entire experience. And of course, that is easier to do when you're just a person or a solopreneur or whatever, right? Scale is tough, and I totally get that. But the reality of the marketplace is the reality of the marketplace. So, thank you. And we're going to keep it going. Paradise 2003 says, Josh, they realize what you all do. That is why they think YouTubers that don't shill are a problem. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Marvel, to me, has not, how do I say this? I think Disney and Marvel have been fair to content creators. I don't want to make it seem like I don't think they're being fair, and I don't think they're being vindictive. They're just not understanding how much value we added to the space. And it's not like they have to like appreciate us, pay us, or whatever, but they should learn, because the shit's falling apart. And they should just try to analyze why, right? Yeah, but I appreciate it, man. But Duncan says, need Pokemon before Smash Bros. Movie 2. Well, you know, Pokemon is huge, obviously. It's been massive for a long, long time. And they already have, like, Detective Pikachu. There's been, I mean, some of the Pokemon animated movies have had monumental success, dude. That first Pokemon movie, when it came out in the space, in the United States, my God, that thing did numbers. Pokemon's well-positioned. I think the thing with Pokemon is, you know, what do they do from here? How are they going to move forward? Yeah, I mean, Pokemon's already huge, dude, you know? So, yeah, I want more Pokemon stuff, too. I love Pokemon. I feel like the games themselves, I feel like the Pokemon company has separate problems, and they're kind of behind the times a little bit, too. But hopefully with the advent of, like, Pal World and maybe some other, you know, other games that scratch a similar itch, I think Pokemon has been forced to evolve more quickly, and hopefully, I mean, that's why competition is great, right? But yeah, appreciate you, man. Delta Dan says, it's my effing birthday. StarCraft trio, please. Much love. Nerdvengers for life. Can we get some happy birthdays in the chat for Delta Dan? Happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday. StarCraft is sick, dude. Now, I will be honest with you. StarCraft has just been riding off of Warhammer's coattails forever. StarCraft is just a different version of Warhammer. However, I respect it. I played StarCraft. Great RTS game. So, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And it's your birthday, so I won't go too hard on StarCraft. Let's see here. Nerds Engaged says, both Vincent and Charlie said episode 8 was their favorite. It's better. Deliver. Can't wait for the watch party. Hell yeah, man. No, I agree. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great. I'm going to cheer for it. I'm going to have a good time. But then I'm going to kick back and be like, the whole show should have been remade. You know? Like, let's take the good with the bad, you know? And we don't have to be rude. Jared says, Den of Goats, pushing 3 years. MCU needs to lean into the X-Men ASAP. And I think they are, and I think that will help. But I don't know that it addresses some of the things we're talking about right now, dude. You know? So, you know, in some ways, this stream is just food for thought. You know, I just wanted to bring up my perspective, what I'm seeing. You know, we're going to find out. The market is the market is the market. Like, it decides, ultimately. Vandalf the Black says, why do you think the World of Warcraft movie never picked up speed or became a franchise? So much stuff over there with that one and massive lore. Yeah, that one's tricky, man. I don't really know because, I mean, that director was hot. I remember it was Duncan Moon, right? Dude, Duncan Moon was hot. It seemed like they had the whole world tuned in. Warhammer itself, one of the biggest games ever. World of Warcraft, obviously massive. I don't know. You know, the Dungeons and Dragons movie is fantastic and has this huge built-in fan base, and I thought it should have made $1 billion, and it underperformed. Everybody was confused about that. The last Mission Impossible movie was disappointing in the box office. I think it's great. I think it's one of the best Mission Impossible movies. Sometimes you just get unlucky. Sometimes something just doesn't pop in the zeitgeist for whatever reason. I couldn't tell you exactly what was going on with Warcraft. It's also possible that there was a little bit of a stigma and a little bit of like a stink on video game franchises. So maybe, maybe some of those are the reasons. Noah says, with a $10 holla, says, your perspective and authenticity is why all of us would watch you lose in Rivals than do anything else. Thanks, man. Leaving out authenticity in video game adaptations are usually why they fail. Much love. No, I think there's a lot of truth in what you're saying. I think authenticity, and especially because of like, dude, you know, we talk about AI all the time. I mean, AI is getting crazy, and I've made this point before. AI, authenticity is already maybe one of the most valuable attributes out there, but I think within the AI world of image generation and all that, I think authenticity becomes even more important. And authenticity, by the way, is the way you avoid direct competition. Because you know, I can't be Rob, you know. I tried to the other week when I made the comic book video or whatever. I don't know if Rob's still in here or whatever. But like, look, I can't be Rob. I'm Josh. But Rob can't be Josh, you know? And so if I just focus on being me, and I just do my thing and I level up my game and I'm just me, that's a way to avoid competition. Nobody can be the only person that can beat me at being authentic is a more authentic version of myself. So, I mean, authenticity is the whole game. And I think you're right to point out that a lot of the content we watch or we engage with these days does not feel authentic. I certainly think that's true. So that's a good point. Jaren says, dang, 2 years? 2 years of nerd vengeance through some of the worst years of nerf, but peak is bound. Yeah, I think you mean of like Marvel and nerdy stuff. Of nerdy, yeah. No, you're right, man. It's been a weird couple of years, right? It's been a weird couple of years, 2 to 3 years of a lot of slogs, a lot of changes. Yeah, it's been really strange. But I do think there's a lot of good stuff on the way. Like, Thunderbolts is going to be awesome. Fantastic Four is going to be great. I think Doomsday is going to be great. I think Spider-Man 4 is going to be great. And I think Secret Wars is going to be peak. So, I appreciate it. Thanks for sticking through. Tangent Cougar, welcome to the Nerd Vengers. You are a Nerd Venger now. Appreciate you. Nuck and Fut says, 45 months to the community. Been loving it in the Discord and streams since day one. Happy birthday, Dan. Josh, who's your favorite Warhammer character? Well, I've been reading the Eisenhorn books, and I love Eisenhorn. I think he's awesome. Constantine Valdor, one of my favorites. I like Rogel Dorn, Leman Russ, Sanguinius, the Lion. I really like Malkador the Sigilite, the Emperor, of course, but like the Emperor is almost more of a aspect of the setting than a true character, right? Who else? Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean, I like the Primarchs. I haven't read stuff with all of the Primarchs, frankly. And some of the Chaos, I'm more of an Imperium guy, so some of the Chaos stuff I'm a little bit lacking on. Trays in the Infinite seems awesome. You know, the Necrons seem really cool. Some Eldar characters seem really interesting. Yeah, some good characters, man. Good characters for sure. Let's see here. Lee Sensei says, is Resident Evil the only successful video game film franchise? I'm not sure, but Resident Evil has certainly cracked through. You know, Silent Hill was one as well. Maybe there's a good connection there with the horror stuff, right? A little bit of a cheaper budget, lower risk. Maybe that's why Warcraft didn't work. But I mean, there's been a lot of video game attempts. I mean, they made that Super Mario's movie. Remember the Super Mario movie with John Leguizamo? Man, that really ended the Hollywood relationship for a while with Nintendo. But I don't know. What else has been successful in video games? I mean, over the past couple of years, we've had more, right? Whether it's Fallout or whatnot. But yeah. Rossi, thanks for gifting a membership, brother. Appreciate you. Mr. Falcon says, I just finished Attack on Titan for the first time. I personally think it has some of the best storytelling of all time. It's my favorite of anime of all time. Any anime recommendations? I mean, I like some classics, man. So I like the Akira movie, and I think the manga is even better. I think the 97 animated version of Berserk is like it'll change you. And you should watch that. I like some obscure anime. So if you've ever heard of Hell's Paradise, came out within the last 5 or 6 years, I really like that. I like Mob Psycho 100 and One Punch Man, both done by the same mangaka. So cool, dude. I just like that guy's style. Trigon, of course, classic. Full Metal Alchemist, classic. Samurai Champloo, classic. Yeah, and then right now, dude, Solo Leveling. It's all about Solo Leveling, dude. Solo Leveling. So good. You should watch it. Zach, thank you for gifting a membership, brother. Frostrodamus says, as a member for 51 months, says 51 mother-loving months. Nerd Vengers from way back. Ride or die. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for everything, Josh. You've brought me up when I was down more than I can say. Thanks, man. I mean, yeah, man, look, you know, the job's kind of silly, right? I mean, I get on the mic and get in front of you guys and just yap about nerdy stuff or whatnot. But I really enjoy it. I don't think I could be doing it this long if I didn't enjoy it. There are aspects that are challenging, but I generally like it a lot. You know, these kind of streams where I just get to kind of go off the dome, these are actually my favorite. You know, we've been having a little bit more produced programming, and I think that's fine, and there's reasons why. But ultimately, man, I just like to think out loud and like kind of talk with y'all and get, you know, just get in the weeds of some of this stuff. It's enjoyable. It kind of feels like play. You know, it doesn't really feel like work, even though there's a lot of energy expended and focus because you want to be at the edge of your emerging thoughts while also controlling where those thoughts take you. It's just something I'm naturally good at. Good communicator, able to converse. And so, yeah, this has been really cool. So I appreciate it. 51 months is a long time. And I would also tell you that I'm working on improving. Like, I want to improve the content. I want to improve myself as a content creator. And so there's a lot more I can be doing. There's a lot more cool things we could be doing as a community. So, yeah. Brandon Moore says, dude, Josh, it's my birthday. I just turned 26. Just wanted to say that I loved everything you do. You are truly the light of the earth. Wow, that's high praise, man. I don't know about all that, but I will say happy birthday to you. 26 years young. Lungs, too. I hope you got lungs, and I hope you feel young. Woo! Hell yeah, Brandon. Can we get some happy birthday love in the chat for Brandon? Elijah says, what is the essence? I really like that. This is how you phrased it. You should have just said, what is the essence? But anyway, what is the essence of Hollywood? How come it has been so hard to replicate it. Many people are dissatisfied with Hollywood but can't replicate it. Well, I think, like many other institutions, it was taken over by the mafia a long time ago, and then the real mafia, which became multinational conglomerates, took it over after the mafia couldn't figure it out. So, I bet you didn't expect that answer, but that's what happened. And because that happened, the considerations and also the barriers to entry were dialed way the fuck up. Hollywood is a super insulary town. If you know the right people and you're chill, you can have a lot of opportunities. If you're Henry Cavill, you're going to bounce around like a pinball machine and get labeled as problematic after you leave The Witcher. So Hollywood, like most institutions, protects its own space within the culture. So it's not just the town that entertainment runs through. It's the town that stops other towns from having entertainment run through it. I think some of that's done through financing. And the Hollywood accounting and the only banks that will actually do some of this financing are controlling who gets to do this and how. And I will take it back to the AI thing. In fact, would you like me to, chat, say maybe the most controversial thing that I've said all stream? One of the things that'll get people so upset, but I think it's absolutely true. Would you like me to cross the line? Say the quiet part out loud? I think some of that's coming to an end. How sophisticated is the propaganda? That's a question I ask myself. How sophisticated is the propaganda? Is it possible that various technologies that could actually level the playing field would be presented or propagandized so that the very public that it could help would cheer against it? Is that possible? How sophisticated is the propaganda? Is it possible that NFTs and AI were actually the exact technologies that could disrupt the monopoly that Hollywood had? And is it possible that the propaganda is so sophisticated that they convince the masses that these technologies are bad, all the while adopting them in some ways privately on their own? Is it possible? Tylen says, if Josh says Warhammer, we getting into it. Where do we start the novels? And will you consider making vids on the channel? Well, I have a Warhammer channel called Warhammer Explained, and that channel may or may not be changed into the Nerdhammer podcast, which is a podcast I'm building with Matt from Nerd of the Ring. So I have a lot of stuff I'm cooking with Warhammer content. Where do you start with the novels? I would say start with Eisenhorn. Start with Eisenhorn. It's a good one. Yes, that's a good one. Appreciate you, Thailand. But yeah, now I would say check out Warhammer Explained. I have a video on there that's like 800,000 views that explains Warhammer very simply. It's a great primer for getting into the universe. And then I would start with Eisenhorn. That one's the best. That one's the best. Thunderbolts is almost sold out for my theater. That's incredible news. I hope we get some data that suggests soon that it's performing really well. Because that's not what I'm seeing out there, C Black, but I would love it if a bunch of people went to see Thunderbolts. I want Thunderbolts to be successful. I'm just not seeing what you're seeing right now. You know, but that's cool. That's cool. We'll see how it all shakes out. All right. Any other thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, guys? I'm going to get out of here really soon. Anything else on your mind? Like I said, tonight at 8:30, we're watching Daredevil Born Again. Let's get it. Big video today coming out about Thunderbolts. Make sure you check that out. And we'll probably talk about Daredevil and maybe some other potential news Wednesday morning as well. Rossi says, if you have another son, can you name him Sanguinius? Probably not, but I'll check with Elisa, maybe. You know, I was trying to name Liam Goku or Vegeta. She wouldn't go for it. And I even got Slick, and I was like, what about Kakarot? And she's like, we watched the movies. I know that's Goku. I was like, shit. But Liam's good name. Good kid. So we're doing all right. All right, everybody. Well, I think we're going to call it there. Hey, look, man, I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for continuously showing up. Thank you for your continued support. Occasionally, when the news is slow, I'm going to get out here and make some wild-ass points and yap about a bunch of stuff that I've wanted to yap about for months. So I hope you don't mind it. Don't worry. You don't have to agree. We'll be back to talking about all the slop. I mean, we'll be back to talking about all the good Marvel content tomorrow. So don't you even worry about it. I appreciate y'all. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Oh man, another happy landing. Another yap session, man. I don't know. What'd you guys think? Did we do okay? You know, was it all right? Were you entertained? Are you mad at me? Like, what the hell? What's even happening anymore in this world, you know? What even is? I don't know. Hell yeah. Well, I'll see you guys later tonight, and then we'll be back at it tomorrow. Again. Hope you have a good day. Video dropping. Gonna be a good time. Remember, open up your third eye. Wash out your stinky butt hole. And get into Warhammer. All right.